Welcome to Mysteries, Myths, and Legends. I'm Taylor.
I'm Savannah.
And welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. This weekend is 4th of July, so happy pool party to everybody.
Pool party.
Because that's basically what this weekend is for.
Yeah,
Pool
drinking.
party, lake
America.
party, beach,
Beach. I'm
just
going to be beaching. Maybe. There might be a million people at the beach.
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, but the 4th of July really some people go out with the,
A
red, white, and
bang.
blue, but I'm gonna just be by the pool enjoying my
Yeah.
extra day off,
Yeah, I'm gonna just take that day off and I'm gonna be happy about it.
Uh-huh. Try not to get too sunburned, but
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll try. I'm still gonna get super sunburned though.
yeah, me too, probably.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am so excited right now. So we're hearing, as you know, past Taylor. So the next episode, I will be able to give you a review. But tomorrow, as I'm recording this tomorrow, I'm going to see the new movie called The Black Phone. Have you heard of it?
Oh, no.
Typical Savannah. I don't know how. I literally don't know how. But it's a new horror movie by Ethan Hawke, who is like one of my fave. He wrote Sinister, which in my
Okay.
mind is the scariest horror movie I've ever seen. And so he wrote and directed and is the star of this new movie, The Black Phone, that comes out tomorrow. But that's not why I'm excited. I'm excited because it was filmed at my house or like on my road.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
the movie that you were
here,
talking about.
yeah. Well, actually, there was multiple movies, but yeah. So this is one of them, and yeah. So I hope to see I hope it made the cut. I mean, like I wasn't in it, but like I just hope.
Okay.
I love seeing movies that are filmed, because a lot of movies are filmed around where I live. So I love going to see the movies and just being like, oh yeah, I live right beside that, or that's my house, or like that's it's crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see it. Also, it has like amazing reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, like especially for horror movies because they never get good reviews. So I'm really excited and I hope I get really scared.
No,
Yay.
yeah, that's awesome. I do love when movies have places that you're familiar with. So you're like, "Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I know exactly where that is."
same. I love it so much.
There was a movie filmed when I lived in Delco. There was one filmed right in some of those neighborhoods right where I lived. But I'm
Oh,
trying to remember what it was called. You would definitely know what it was. I don't know why it's slipping my mind right now.
oh dang, you're gonna have to
It's
figure it out and tell
it's a
us.
scary movie too. It's a
No way.
yeah.
Okay, well, you need to write that down and figure it out because I want to
I
know.
think I'm trying. I was on my phone googling right now, but it's not coming up.
Well,
I don't know.
that's
Maybe I'll think of it while we're in the middle of this,
yeah.
and
Just
I'll just
just scream it out because it's gonna bother me now.
yeah,
No,
yeah. Um.
that's funny.
Oh no, I do remember it. The Lovely Bones. I'm pretty sure.
No,
That's
are you
yeah.
kidding
Let
me?
me look it up if
Are
that's
you kidding
wrong.
me? Okay, if that's the truth, Savannah, that's one of my favorite movies and books. I mean, it's also extremely dark, but
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It says production. Yeah, it was shot in Pennsylvania.
dude, that's so crazy. I wait, have you seen that movie, Savannah?
You're gonna get mad at me, but I don't think I have. I've been meaning to watch
Bro.
it since it came out. I was like, oh, I do want to go see, but I don't know why I never did.
Yeah, I don't. It's because you don't watch movies, I think. But
Yeah, yeah.
okay, well, that you really need to watch it because A, it's so good. B, you're probably going to recognize places if it was filmed there. But also, it's just so good.
I know. I think it was filmed at one of the houses nearby, and our old mall that was empty at the time.
Yeah.
How malls over
Yeah.
time they just get abandoned. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Um,
That's so cool.
I really have not thought about that in a long time. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to look it up now. But
No, you definitely do. But also, we wanted to give a little shout out to Victoria, Savannah's sister,
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
her birthday. Happy birthday, Victoria.
Wow. See, you remembered before I did.
Yeah, I did.
I did just say, oh, I'm going to say happy birthday to Victoria, but you beat me to it.
Haha.
Um,
I don't even know if she listens, but happy birthday anyway, Victoria.
yeah, I think she gave us a shout out on Facebook the other day.
Oh, okay. True.
So,
Well,
so yeah, shout out back to her.
yeah. Exactly.
Happy birthday.
Exactly. Also, go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all the intro topics I have for you this week.
Yeah. So I guess let's get into
Let's
it.
do it.
So this week I have something that everybody's already pretty much familiar with, but you know, we like to go back a little farther into stuff that like people don't actually know about
Mm-hmm.
the common topic, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be talking about mermaids.
Ooh, we love a good mermaid. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we like all pretty much know what mermaids are. But if
If
you
you don't
don't,
know.
it is an aquatic creature with the upper body of usually a woman and then the tail of a fish. And they're human sized. So not like fish size, you know. That would be weird if they were fish
That,
size. I feel like
now that would be weird.
yeah.
It's kind of
Um
weird either way, but that would be way more weird.
yeah. Yeah, I was like thinking about that when I was writing the description cuz I was like, yeah, I'm picturing it now. Weird.
Same.
Um but mermaids actually are in like many cultures all over the world. They're like in European, Asian, African, just like all different cultures. Um, and the word mermaid in English comes from like mer. It was the old English word for the sea. And
Oh,
then maid
maid.
is like a young woman or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, makes sense.
Makes complete sense.
A sea girl.
Let's see, girl.
Yeah. And the fish human hybrid can be traced back pretty far to like 5000 BC. But this story, it was not really like a mermaid per se, but it was like the first fish human hybrid.
Oh, okay.
Um, hmm So this was a human figure with the tail of a fish in, and it comes from like Babylonian mythology. And the god Ea, I don't know how to say it. It's literally Ea.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like it's Ia.
Okay. Ea was described as having the body of a man and a fish. So their god was like a merman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Ea was later, well, I guess that's because they have many gods. I just forgot that was a thing. One of their gods was a merman. Ea was later known by the Greeks as Oans. See, I'm butchering all these names, of course.
Yeah, I mean, our listeners know already, Savannah. We don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce anything.
And then, yeah, I know. And some Semitic tribes called this god Dagon. So, like, this mermaid guy was one of the gods, like, so far back in, like, 3 different cultures took up form of this god. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the first actual, like, mermaid was in 1000 BC. And it was in like Assyria, which is the equivalent to present day Syria and also the northern area of Iraq. If
Oh,
people
okay.
who know geography know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I totally follow.
Sure, yeah. But this was the goddess of fertility, and she fell in love with the mortal man and had a daughter with him.
Ooh.
Yeah, but
Demigod time.
unfortunately, yeah. But he did not survive the process of
Oh.
making a child. So she was
Of
in
making a
grief.
child?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So we'll just you just know what that means.
Yeah.
She was like in grief from this because he died.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so she casted herself into a lake and
Oh.
became a mermaid.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
She's like, listen, my husband just died
I mean,
because I killed him, and now I'm gonna just throw myself into a lake.
listen, it's like that's already bad enough, but it's 10 times worse when you're the goddess of fertility and then that
Right.
happens.
Yeah, no, right.
Like that is
It's
pretty that's
it's
pretty bad.
because she's so powerful
She's
though.
too
Like she's a
powerful.
god,
For
you
sure.
know.
Like she was way too powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But yeah, so she couldn't die because she's a god.
Mhm.
And she can't fully become a fish, so she kept her feminine shape and turned into a mermaid.
Wow.
And this legend is actually associated with like apparently it's a Syrian custom to not eat fish.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. Um, and then we get to Greek mythology. Um, the Tritons are
Yes.
the mermaids and mermen
Mhm.
of the ocean in Greek mythology.
Yeah. See, I would say that you would know that from Percy Jackson, but you wouldn't know that from Percy Jackson.
I'm
So
sorry. No, I wouldn't.
I will forever be bitter about that fact.
Yeah, I know. I could still get into it.
As you should. And I might as well just go ahead and mention that Disney Plus is dropping Percy Jackson as a TV series next month.
Oh,
So,
maybe I should.
you should. Anyway, the Tritons.
Yeah, the Tritons are the sons and daughters of Triton, who is king of the sea, and Triton is son of Poseidon and Amphitrite. I always thought that Poseidon and Triton were like on the same level, but like Poseidon's his dad.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think.
I knew that, but only because I got like really into Percy Jackson.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So in this like part of mythology, mermen are like talked about, but they're way less present in a lot of other cultures. So like they're barely ever talked about. It's mostly mermaids.
that's very interesting.
And then, of course, if you ever seen The Little Mermaid,
Of course.
Triton is her
Her
father.
dad, yeah.
So there's a connection there. And then I'll get back to The Little Mermaid in a little bit because her story is actually a few different stories meshed into one.
Ooh.
So it took from like different cultures, but I have that a little farther down. But now I want to get into sirens.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever heard of a siren?
Oh, yes, I know what a siren is.
So they started in Greek mythology. And they were actually half woman, half bird creatures. And I always heard of sirens being like mermaids, but originally they weren't. So they had like the lower body and wings of a bird, and then they would lure sailors to their death with their singing because they're so beautiful. And one day they had a singing contest with the muses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which are I don't really remember what the muses are, like other goddesses in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are other goddesses of Greek mythology for sure.
Yeah, something like that. But they had a singing contest with them and lost. So
Oh, no.
the sirens lost their feathers.
And became like the water creatures.
Yeah, so they couldn't fly or anything. So they stayed in the sea. In some stories, they just die.
That's crazy. I never actually, because I knew like a siren was like a sea creature who like sings. But I
Yeah,
never knew they were birds.
I know. That was like crazy to me. I was like, what?
For
But it
real.
makes sense if they're singing, you know?
No, it totally makes sense. It totally does.
Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, in some stories, the sirens just like die. But like in others, they transform into mermaids, which is, you know, where our current idea of sirens comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting.
That's very cool.
And the Romans actually adopted this idea of sirens. They like just took the mermaid idea. They didn't even think of them as half bird at all.
Oh, wow.
They're like, we're just gonna take this part of the story and like leave out. See, that's probably why.
That's exactly why. That's exactly
Um,
why.
yeah, like current day doesn't think of the other one because the Romans, yeah. Um, so to the Romans, they were just mermaids, and they were daughters of the river god.
Mm.
And they're like deadly with their singing
Oh,
and
yeah.
beautifulness.
Oh, yeah. If you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, you know. You know about them sirens now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And actually, in other languages, the word for siren and mermaid are the same.
Oh, yeah. See, like, I always associate them as being, like, the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always say that, like, mermaids are nicer.
Really? I always heard that they're evil.
Well, I don't know. Some cultures say they're, like, fertility and all that. Because, like, you know that one goddess of fertility
Yeah. Well, that's
who drowned
true.
in there.
That's true. I guess I never realized how many cultures even had, like, mermaid stories.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, I still have a few more to
Yeah,
list
which,
here.
because for the record, I always believed in mermaids, but now knowing that like all these different cultures like have their own
Uh-huh.
stories, that is way more believable, even though I already believed it.
No, definitely. Like, I mean, if this many people are saying, like, oh, yeah, they're real, like,
Then, babe, they're real.
I don't know. Okay, so next I have the legend of Thessalonike. She was the sister of Alexander the Great.
Oh, wow.
And one day he washed her hair with water from the fountain of immortality.
Uh huh.
You know, casual.
Casual, very casual.
And it made her immortal.
Yeah, I mean, as it does.
See, but what I want to ask is like, why was his hair not washed with it? You know?
That's a great question. I mean, there's so many questions actually that I could ask, such as like,
Right.
why did he wash her hair? Why she couldn't
Yeah,
have
I
just
don't really
drank
know.
it?
Yeah,
And
true.
also, why was he washing her hair?
I don't know. It's just a
Lots of
story, I
questions,
guess.
but you know what? We'll go with it.
Okay, well, it was a mistake to not have him, you know,
Well, definitely.
have the water because he died.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Yes, so he died, and Thessalonike, she was so full of grief that she threw herself into the ocean.
But come on now.
You know, as one does.
Yeah, as just, a casual throw.
Exactly. But because she was immortal, she didn't die.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
She just transformed into a mermaid.
Okay.
So, yeah. And there's a statue of her on the Greek island of Thasos.
Ooh, like of
So,
her as a human or of her as a mermaid?
a mermaid.
No way. I want to
Hmm.
go. First of all, Greece is my like dream location, but I really want to go see that.
Yeah, that would be cool. There's like mermaid statues in a lot of countries.
No
I didn't
way.
mention a lot of them, but there's just,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Because so many different cultures just believe in this.
Yeah, I really had no idea about that. That's really awesome.
This just all goes back to water creatures. Like we always say, like,
Man, listen. Every day we talk about more water creatures. I'm like, I gotta get up out of the water. Like,
yeah, like you live near the beach.
yeah, and I
They're gonna
really do
get you.
stay in that water. So,
Uh-huh. Okay, so in Scottish mythology, there is a maid of the wave. She has a name, but I didn't even write it down because I knew I wasn't going to be able to pronounce it.
accurate. Also, I want to make the Maid of the Wave my new Instagram handle.
Oh, honestly, you should. But she's in the ocean and she has the upper body of a woman and the tail of a salmon.
Oh,
So, and
salmon
also,
specifically.
see, this is why it probably would be good to put it in there in your bio because she can grant 3 wishes to whoever captures her. So you're like magic.
Oh, okay. Okay, Miss Genie. Miss Genie Maid of
Mm-hmm.
the Waves.
Yeah. So that's the Scottish mermaid.
Well, we need to
That's
go catch her because I got some wishes.
honestly true. Like, I have a few wishes to make, but can we like share them?
No, I feel like do we not each get 3?
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know how it works.
Okay, also, do we have to
look up.
rub her?
No, no, you just have to catch her.
Okay, solid.
And go
That's
fishing.
not easier in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form.
it's not. It's not. Okay. Next little story is the Merrow. And this is in Ireland and Scotland. And these are creatures, mermaids, that are human above the waist and have a fishtail, and have webbed hands.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah, there's
wow.
a few different cultures that have like their mermaids have webbed hands too.
That kind of sucks, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would like having
Because
that.
I have webbed toes, and I already know how much that sucks.
Yeah.
So,
Seems like restrictive, right?
it's very restrictive.
Yeah. I didn't write down much about like, because I listed like a bunch of different stories. Like I still have a few more to go. But I did glance at some in like China and like just the Asian stories and stuff. I should have written down more details about one of them, but I know those ones had webbed hands as well. So it's just
Ew.
interesting.
That's very weird.
But the Merrow of Ireland and Scotland, they are actually nice mermaids.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And they sometimes marry the people on land.
Okay, that's giving
So,
old Greg.
yeah, it is a little bit.
I know we've mentioned him many times, but if you don't know who old Greg is, you need to YouTube old Greg.
Yeah, you should.
Because he might be the mermaid of the Marrow.
Maybe. He doesn't grow a tail, though.
No, but he does have web hands. And he did
Wow.
marry someone on the land.
Yeah, I guess so. So when they go on land, they can take human form.
Okay,
But
H2O.
then but yeah, honestly, it is giving very much H2O. But then when they go back in the ocean, they turn back into a mermaid.
See, that's my favorite kind.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
in Luca, too.
Uh-huh.
Even though they're not mermaids, I guess they're like just sea creatures or whatever. But
Yeah.
I love that. That's the kind of mermaid I would want to be.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Because it gives you more, like, you can do more.
Yeah, more freedom.
You know?
It's all Ariel
Have both.
wanted.
Exactly. But these creatures, see, this is where it gets a little tricky because they have to wear a red cap in the sea, like when they're in the sea, so they can breathe underwater.
Oh,
Which is like, why can't you just do that normally?
that's weird.
So, the story I found, it said like people who like marry them or like befriend them or something, they can like steal the cap and like hide it so they'll stay on land.
Oh my gosh, that's so mean. First of all,
I know. Like, why would you do that?
like literally,
To your like husband? Like, what?
they don't want them cheating
Your
in
wife?
the water world. I mean, you never know
Mm-hmm.
what could happen down there.
Yeah, but you're right. Like these are like the best kind to be.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So the next thing I have is back to the Little Mermaid. So Ariel's father, like, he was Triton, right? In the movie. But her story is actually different ones meshed together. So it sort of takes from that story of like Triton being her father and like the different Tritons, like her siblings. But it also has this story of Melusine. Me just butchering it.
It was a great try.
We'll call her Mel.
Yeah, Melby.
She was a freshwater mermaid.
Ooh.
So
Ooh, a
that's also
freshwater
interesting.
mermaid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
See, like I never think about mermaids being freshwater.
I don't like that really. So I know I've already established I don't like freshwater So I really don't like a freshwater mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Also, there is something else about her. She is probably the model for Starbucks, the Starbucks mermaid.
Oh, wow. No way.
Because she has, sometimes has wings in some of the stories, but also sometimes has two tails, which the Starbucks mermaid has two tails.
Really? I don't think I've ever noticed that.
You did, you haven't seen that whole thing?
No,
Like
it's
their
definitely
original.
ringing. It's definitely ringing a bell, but I just don't
Mm-hmm.
remember. I'm just trying to picture the logo in my head.
So the Starbucks original logo is like kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then when you get to like the common like everyday one, the things on the outsides, those are the tails. Like if you
Oh.
can picture a mermaid sitting there with like the tails up next to her, like
Uh huh.
almost like she's putting her legs like next to her head,
It's her
which
tails.
is
No, I'm looking at it now. It definitely is. Wow.
yeah,
That is so crazy. I know that I learned that once in my past, but then definitely forgot about it.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, definitely post a picture of a Starbucks logo.
yeah,
Or you could just simply Google it, like I
uh-huh,
just did.
uh-huh.
Wow. I never realized that. I kind of just thought it was like a design, like around her, but she
Yeah, did you
totally
see
is holding her two tails. But
did
I
you
see
see like
the,
the original?
yeah, the original is like completely a mermaid just holding her tails, like the
Yeah, and it's
whole
kind of
body.
weird, isn't it?
I don't know. I kind of vibe with it.
Oh, well, okay.
I know
I
it's
haven't seen it
definitely
in a while.
weird. The new one
Yeah.
definitely looks better, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
both are cool.
Yeah. So this mermaid or like this type of mermaid is what that's based off of, I guess. But anyways, Mel, she married a human. Um and she's the one of the ones who could like transform back and forth between a
Mm-hmm.
human and a mermaid.
Yeah.
And she would actually transform into a mermaid once a week in the bath.
Oh, this is
And
really H2O.
because I guess she would only take a bath once a week. I don't know.
Stinky.
Yeah, but whatever. I guess that's what they did when
True. Also, I don't know how long mermaids need to, I mean, bathe themselves.
Mm-hmm. She probably just needed to do it to like I don't know, stay a mermaid. I
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, make sure she doesn't lose her mermaid skills.
Yeah, or something, or like she would just turn into one if she didn't get to water in a certain amount of time, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But she made a deal with like her husband that you cannot come into my bath when I'm taking a bath. Like this is basically a contract. Like do not because you like she didn't want him to see
Yeah.
that she was a mermaid.
Yeah.
But one day, he came into the room
Oh
while
no.
she was bathing.
Oh no.
And so, of course, she just left him forever.
Oh, of course. Of
Which is
course.
like, I don't really understand that, but she just left him forever.
That's so sad.
I guess she just like had to or something. I don't know. Um, and that's basically the story. It's like a heartbreaking story because like they had to like split up because she's a mermaid and
Okay,
blah
but like,
blah.
did they, like, did he approve of the mermaid?
I don't
Like,
know.
she just didn't even give him a chance.
I think some stories say that he married someone else because he didn't want to be married to a mermaid or
That's
something
just
like that. But
mean.
yeah. And some legends say that she married a prince or a count. And actually, specifically, some say that she married Count Siegfried of the Ardennes or Prince Raymondin of Poitou.
Ooh, okay, so
Um,
rich.
yeah, and there's actually like specific names, so I'm like, did these people actually like, were they really rumored to have married a mermaid?
Right. Like, are they serious?
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that also connects to Ariel because she married a prince. So,
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It's okay, the literal Little Mermaid.
exactly. So that's how we sort of connect it there. Um, and uh, another story that sort of adds on to the story of Ariel, in a way, sort of. Um, is the German story of Undine, and she was a freshwater sprite, which I guess is like a mermaid. Don't really know.
Mm-hmm. I think
And
sprites are like little tiny little fairy creatures that lived in the water. That's what I always thought it was, but honestly, I don't know.
but I think she's like just a normal size. So I don't know, might be different. I don't know.
True. Yeah, I don't know either.
Um, but she was a mermaid or I don't know, something who was immortal and had no soul. So, but she could get a soul by marrying a human and bearing him a child. And she will also like start aging after this. So she basically like gets rid of all that.
Okay. Okay.
Which is like if you don't have a soul already, do you want one? Like
Right. I
probably
mean,
not.
maybe like she just wanted to try it out.
Right. Maybe.
But
I don't know. So she ends up marrying the man. She marries someone and has a child. Um and things seem to be going good. Like she has a soul now.
she has a soul.
She's not no longer immortal, but he ends up betraying her
Dun dun
and
dun.
like cheats on her.
No.
So she goes back to the sea and turns back into, or I guess not the sea, the lake or whatever, because
Yeah,
she's
wherever.
freshwater.
Yeah.
But she goes back, and I guess becomes a mermaid again.
Wow.
So, so yeah, that's sort of like Ariel too, because I mean, I guess she's not trying to get a soul, but like her voice.
Yeah, same difference though.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so like you can see the connections there.
For sure.
And the original story of Ariel was definitely like probably not as happy as the Disney one. So like all of these stories that I
Oh,
just said were
yeah.
like, oh yeah, they just were betrayed and went back to the ocean. That's probably how it ended, you know?
Definitely. Like in all the Disney movies are like way nicer than the stories they're actually based off of.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is the story of Ariel, sort of, in a way.
Sort of.
Um, so as you can tell from like some of the stuff I was saying, there's like different associations depending on which culture you're in for like these mermaids. So in some, it means life and fertility in the ocean, with like some of those goddesses, and then it can also mean like perilous events like floods and storms, shipwrecks, drownings,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes like even the ones who think mermaids are like bad and like cause all these shipwrecks and stuff, people will still say like, oh well, sometimes they can be nice, giving like a
Yeah.
nice breeze every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
or like they'll fall in love with a human.
Yeah.
um and there's also a theory, or like not a theory, but like i guess it I guess this is sort of a theory but also like a cultural thing, that some legends have mermaids as the ghosts of women and girls who have drowned.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
yeah. Yeah, I think I have sort of heard of that before, like in the way that mermaids are sirens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like ghosts
Yeah.
at the same time,
Yeah.
because they're like luring these sailors to their death
Mm-hmm.
as a ghost. Like I don't know, I feel like it just makes sense for some reason.
Makes sense to me.
Um so yeah, that could be it. And maybe that's also why you can't find any proof of them, because they're just ghosts.
Exactly. And we ain't found no proof for ghosts yet, so.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, and there's also another theory that's kind of out there, but also I could believe it. Of aquatic apes. Have you heard of
Okay.
the aquatic ape theory?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a theory that like when humans were evolving, there was another group of like primates who stayed in the ocean more and adapted to like more of like an ocean life.
Yeah.
So they evolved to live in the ocean, and they're mermaids now.
They're ape
um
mermaids.
well, in the same way that we're apes.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, got it. I got you.
Yeah. So they would look like us because they've adapted the
Yeah.
same way, but
Mm-hmm.
like Yeah.
Yeah.
But for this, there's no real evidence, of course. But there have been like mermaid sightings over the years that some people take as evidence, but I don't know. Because like people will say, oh, they're actually just manatees.
Right. That's such a common thing that I hear. And I'm like, okay, for one, do mermaids look anything like manatees? No.
Right. But the reason people say like, oh no, it's definitely manatees because like the sailors were just drunk. But
Mm,
like, I don't know. Can being drunk make you see a manatee as a person?
I don't. I
Like,
just don't think so. And also, I really do believe mermaids are real. I really genuinely do. I don't know why. I just always have. And so I think it's also it would be funny, and I feel like it would be a very mermaid thing to do to like mess with sailors, and then like also have manatees around and be like it was just a manatee, but like it was the mermaids. You know what I'm saying?
right.
To like make them look
True.
crazy because they like messing with men.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if mermaids are real or not, but they are in so many cultures and just all over the world. So, I mean, maybe.
I will tell you, I wanted to be a mermaid so bad when H2O was like popping. Even
That
now,
was such a good show.
it really was a good show, and I was like, man, I would give anything to be a mermaid, even if it meant I can't get wet in any way, shape, or form.
See, I never got that because it's like you really can't just wash your hands. Like,
Right. Also, like, but I'm just like, so they don't sweat.
well, I feel like that doesn't count, right?
It's water, though. I don't know.
It's sweat though.
Yeah,
It's
but it has
different.
water in it. See, but then the other thing I never got it was like they have water inside their bodies, so it just can't
Right,
touch the
like
outside of their
can
bodies.
they drink water?
Right. See, these are the questions. This is why it's a TV show and
Mm-hmm.
not real life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Okay, well, that's all I have for this week. So, what do you have for me?
That is amazing. Okay, so for you this week, Savannah, I have the legend of the Foley House Inn.
Oh,
Dun dun dun.
okay.
So the Foley House Inn is actually located in Savannah, Georgia. Um, and I actually came across his story in one of my like legends and mysteries books that I have. And so if you want to check it out, the book is called Ghost from the Coast by Nancy Roberts. I think I've done at least one story from that book before, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a good one. So just for starters, Savannah, Georgia is said to be the most haunted city in the United States of America. So
Is it actually?
yeah, it is. And
Oh.
honestly, I felt more creepy vibes from other cities than Savannah. But
Hmm.
allegedly,
Well,
that's
that's my name.
that's what they say.
I'm haunted.
Yeah, you're creepy. No, I'm just kidding. um, but no, definitely like. Okay, have you been to Savannah?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like I definitely got like not like very scary vibes, but just like there's so much history there. I feel like you can almost feel it when you're like walking around,
Yeah, I do sort of get that vibe.
like just a vibe. So like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Anyways, let's just go dive right on in. So, the Foley House Inn is actually said to be one of the most romantic inns in the whole country, which
Mm-hmm.
is not what I was expecting when I first read this story. So it's full of like federal period furniture, and it has like burgundy walls and crystal chandeliers and like just like a warm glow of a fireplace. So it's just like super chill, but like bougie and also very romantic, cute getaway vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And Savannah's so gorgeous. I'm at Savannah, Georgia, but also you, Savannah.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to start telling you just the story from Nancy, the author of the book herself, who experienced some weird things here, which is wild. So it was a February evening, and most of the guests had like of this inn had taken their wine outside and were just like sitting around like in the small like private courtyards that are like located around the house. And Nancy saw a woman actually standing in the hall at the foot of the stairs, and she was like shivering, like just standing in the corner shivering.
Mm-hmm.
And she describes her as looking like just absolutely freezing, but like way more cold than just as if she was like standing under like an air vent, you know? Um, but then, like, right as she said she had that thought, the woman then started looking around as if there was like an air vent somewhere. Because she was just like, it just appeared like she had just felt a very, very, very cold gust of wind from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so Nancy asked her if she was okay. And the woman was like, it was just like this, the weirdest thing I've ever experienced because it was just like the biggest gust of cold wind, but it came from absolutely nowhere. And just all of a sudden. And so this occurrence actually happens to like many people who stay at this inn, and we'll get into what that might be a little bit later on in the story. So, a little more history on the house is that it was built in 1896 by this lady named Honora Foley.
Okay.
And apparently, like, her building this house, like, was supposed to help her get out of her deep depression that she was in because she had just faced the death of her husband. So
Okay.
she was super sad. So she was like, you know what, maybe if I make a big house, it'll make me feel better.
Right.
So, but because her husband died and like she didn't have any kids, she was super lonely. So she was super lonely and had this huge, just huge house. So she was like, why don't we keep what she would call quote unquote paying guests, which like at that time were just people who would rent out rooms like in her house. And today, you know, that's turned into the inn.
Right.
But she literally just wanted people to stay there at like a very cheap price just so she could have company around her, which is honestly really sad.
Yeah, I mean that's cute though. Like, oh,
No, it's
she
cute.
wants
It's
some
so
people.
cute. And she had like so many friends too. So
Yeah.
just adorable. But of course, like any woman, you know, working alone, renting her house out to people, like even in today's times, that's a little bit worrying, you know,
Yeah.
just for her protection. And it was even worse back then because you could get away with anything. So actually,
Yeah, true.
a lot of Honora's like friends were like, "Yo, you really need to be careful, like especially with who you're letting stay there, since you don't know these people. Like, it could be anybody, and they could do anything." And she was like, "No, no, trust me. Like, I know. Like, I'm smart about it." And she was like really, really careful. And like, anytime she felt like the slightest bit uncomfortable with any person, she was like, "I'm sorry, but like, no, you can't stay here." And she would actually try to get to like know the people before they would like move in, because it wasn't like just like a weekend stay type situation. Like these people would like move in for like a couple months, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So she'd really like get to know them sort of and like
yeah,
be around them a lot. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
need to
yeah,
make sure it's good
yeah.
people.
She was like, I need to make sure like we ain't got no serial killers up in here because you know,
Right.
scary. So one night, the absolute most attractive man arrived at the Foley House Inn. And it was like super late at night. And so Honora was like, no, like, this is not the time to be checking in, you know. But he begged and he pleaded with her to rent a room for only like a month or two, tops. Like, he was like, I just really, really, really need a room. And he said that like he like just had like a little bit of business to take care of in Savannah, so like it definitely wasn't going to be a long stay. And Honora said that just because she was so attracted to him,
Oh my gosh.
she said yes. So you know,
Well, I mean,
the foreshadowing isn't looking great here, I'll tell you
yeah.
that. So obviously after she said yes, she's like questioning him, like, you know, what do you do, how old are you, blah blah blah, just trying to get to know him like she does everybody else. And after hounding him for what seemed like literal hours, he would never tell her what he did for work, which
That's weird.
it really sketched her out. It immediately sketched her out. And she started noticing really weird things that he would do just in like the first couple of days that he was
Okay,
there.
but like, why would you not just make something up? You
That's
know,
what
like
I want to know. Like,
if
I'm
you're
a
not gonna
contractor.
tell her,
Right. But like, I honestly, like, since he was like this attractive, like well looking man, like, I'm like, was he trying to be mysterious? Like,
maybe, I don't know.
I mean, he wasn't, but
Yeah, but
like,
like,
spoiler alert, he wasn't. But
yeah,
like, maybe that's what she thought, you know, like maybe he's just trying to be mysterious. But she was sketched out, okay? She was sketched out a little bit. And so then in the next couple of days, she started noticing that he would like show up at random places at the same time as her, like around town, even not even just in the house. And then one night, she woke up out of a deep sleep, as you do, and sat up and saw him, this man, behind her, like over her bed, like leaning over her bed, his face so close to her face, just staring at her.
My God.
And so obviously she panics, but somehow manages to get like the brass candlestick beside her bed on her table, and he hit him in the head, like with a really hard blow to the temple. To just because he wasn't moving, he was just standing over her, staring at her.
Oh my God, that's so creepy.
That
Why?
is my absolute worst nightmare. Like, what was he gonna do? Ew, it sickens me. So when she hit him in the head with this candlestick, he fell to the ground and did not move, and she knew for a fact that he was dead. She really did that. So, but 100% on Honora's side, like she had no choice. Like, he was probably gonna kill her.
No,
Honestly.
definitely. Like, I don't know what.
Whatever he had planned, it wasn't gonna be good. So she had no choice in that matter. But so obviously she starts panicking even worse because she's like, okay, what am I going to do with this dead body? How am I going to get it past all these other guests in my house? So her first thought was to bury him in the garden. But
my God.
Which I'm like, I mean, burying the body, I feel like that's always somebody's first thought,
Yeah.
The typical first thought. But then she thought just how quickly it could be found by a dog or something. And like some guests had animals. So she was like, no, you know what? Burying him is not going to work. So instead, she gets dressed and really quickly runs out to her little friend's house, who was this guy. And apparently he lived really close by. And it never told his name, but apparently this man had like befriended her right after she moved into her new big house. Okay. And he actually even roomed in her house for a little bit when a hurricane damaged his house. So like, they know each other, fully they're friends. But he actually had admitted that he was quite smitten with her. So there was definitely some chemistry going on between these two. But I think, like, Honora was like, my husband just died. Like, I'm still trying to grieve him. So, like, they weren't together, but he really liked her. So,
Right. Okay, also, though, like, why did she not just go to the police?
That's what I just want to know. Like, people really panic in these situations, and I think that's why she didn't. But just, like, girl, it was self-defense.
Right. Like, you're making it way worse. Like, you could just totally say that was self-defense. Like, he was in your room.
Literally.
Why?
It was. It literally was. But, I mean, it was 1800s. Like, who knows? People don't believe women. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
Who knows? So this guy, her little neighbor man that was, like, in love with her, apparently he never actually told her how he felt about her because he was a bricklayer and she was a widow, and like those apparently back in the day, like those just could not simply be a match. Like I don't even know what that means other than the fact that just like they're two different social classes and they can't be together, which is stupid. But so he never told her, so that's sad. But she was right to trust him because he said that he would do anything for her because obviously he loved her. So he didn't hesitate at all to help her. And no investigation was ever on record. And the secret of how this body had been so quietly disposed of was not revealed in Miss Foley's lifetime. So nobody ever knew. Nobody ever found out.
Oh my God. I was really thinking, like, since you're telling this story, like, somebody must have known. But, like...
Oh, we know now. No, we know now what happened.
Yeah,
but not in her lifetime.
She really got away with it.
They absolutely got away with it. So you know what? Maybe she was right not going to the police. You know?
True. Because it could have went wrong for her.
Exactly. Exactly. So eventually Miss Foley, dies of just, natural causes or whatever. And 50 years pass since her death when finally this Foley House Inn divulges its secret. So what happened was this small 1850 built townhouse, which was right next door to the Foley House, it was
Uh-huh.
purchased so that it could be combined with the Foley House to provide more room for more guests. Because at this point, it's like an inn, and they need more room.
Right, right.
And so basically, they were trying to combine these two buildings that were really close to each other, and so there was like a common wall shared between the two. So they cut through the wall, and that's when a very grim discovery was made.
Oh no.
The remodeler of the house had the pleasure of finding the skeletal remains of a man, and that man did end up being the man that was killed with the candlestick. So they literally
Oh god.
just put him in the wall of this house.
Oh
Now
my
my
god.
question is, how did it not stink? No,
I mean,
nobody ever found out.
I mean, he was a bricklayer, right? It was behind brick,
I mean, he
like.
was a bricklayer, and you know what? Maybe he was the best bricklayer in town because nobody
Hmm.
ever questioned it. Nobody said anything, which
Yeah.
is wild. Um, so
Huh.
let's see here. So, because of this horrible tragedy that happened in this house, some say that the ghost of this creepy hotel guest man still roams the halls of the Foley House Inn. And
Oh.
so that's creepy, first of all, because we have no idea who this man is or
Right,
his
like did
intentions, because what was he doing? And,
right.
in his defense, I guess he could have been sleepwalking, you know?
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
that
he
is
really could
true.
have been because he also didn't like really fight back that hard. And so that if
Mhm.
that's the case, that's really sad. but
Yeah.
also,
Well,
but
how do we
also
get the
no,
full story though of her point of view of it and everything? How did we get that?
I
Did
don't know
she
how
write
we
it
got
down?
that. I'm assuming she wrote it down and what it
Yeah.
was left.
Yeah.
Um, or like the other guy that helped eventually told, like
True. True.
once it was all over with, like they can't do anything about it. But
Yeah.
um,
On deathbed confessions.
right. um, let's see here. So, okay. So his ghost, some say, still haunts this Foley House Inn. And so if we throw it back all the way to the beginning, I told you a story of how the author of this book literally experienced someone getting an extremely cold, like, gust of wind. And that is the most popular experience that will happen here. And people believe that that's actually, like, where, like, he would, like, normally stand, because apparently, like, people who lived in this house just, like, gathered in certain areas of the house. And so
Mhm.
people say, like, that's exactly where that man stood. And I'm like, are you just saying that because,
I mean, they could be saying that or just it could be real. Like
I mean,
it's
yeah,
like
you're right.
50-50 right there.
You're right. You're right. So the cold gust of wind is blamed on him, but that's not all that happens in the house. People have also seen a man in a top hat, which is also believed to be the same man.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but there are also reports of a little girl who screams in the parlor if it gets too quiet in there.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
weird.
right, but it's also sad because clearly it's like a ghost of a little girl and she doesn't want it to be quiet. So, like, maybe she's scared to, like, be alone,
Yeah.
like, as a little ghost girl. And that's just sad because, like, nobody found no history of any little girls dying. So, like,
Yeah. True.
whoever the spirit could be is just sad and she doesn't want to be alone. So,
Mhm.
but also what's creepy is that if you did stay in this and you went to the parlor and you're just hearing a little girl scream and there's no little girl in there, that's also horrifying.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So, yeah, and so the Foley House Inn is still up and running today and you can stay there. And I absolutely propose that we do that because I love Savannah and it's not that far and I want to see if I can see anything happen.
See, I'm very down to go do that.
Like, this one
I
doesn't scare me that bad,
That would be so cool.
Right? Right. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that is the legend of the Foley House Inn.
You know, I
Da-da-da.
did stay at like a hotel or in or something when, because I went to Savannah for my aunt's wedding
Mm-hmm.
like years ago. I need to
Ooh.
ask her what it was called.
You definitely should, because also like every place in Savannah's haunted. Like as I said, it's the most haunted city.
I know, yeah.
But like you really might have stayed in like a historically haunted place. So you
Yeah.
should definitely ask where you
Yeah.
stayed.
Hmm.
Crazy, but definitely go check out our Instagram to see pictures of the Foley House and whatever pictures you can come up with,
I
Savannah.
know. All the mermaid stuff.
Um, that'll be fun. Also, ooh, you know what? I actually have seen a TikTok recently. I think I sent it to you of a girl who was like a supposed mermaid washed up.
Oh, wait, what?
It was like a couple months ago. I feel like,
Oh,
and it was
okay.
like a half body, like the top half of like a little girl, and the bottom half of a mermaid. And I'm sure it
Huh.
was fake. I'm sure it was fake, but I was like, this is looking awful real.
Yeah. They can make anything look real
They
nowadays.
can. That's why it's so hard. We'll never really know.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Juju says hello.
Yeah, I heard him that time.
He's mad because I locked him out. He's like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just trying to do my job, Taylor, and be the assistant to your podcast. But roll my eyes. But that's all I have for y'all this week. What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, well then I guess we'll see you next week.
All right, cue the music.